Welcome to A1R Psychic Radio here on Moonstruck TV with Amanda Hall Psychic, all the way from the Gold Coast here in Australia. So wherever you are in this amazing part of the world that we all live in, and we all have our little localities, I hope you're having an absolutely great time and getting ready for the festive season. Isn't it exciting? I just adore Christmas. I always have since I was a little girl. It's a time of the year where I think there's renewed hope, renewed positivity. We look forward to sort of maybe some miracles happening, and it's not just about the gifts, it's the getting together with family and friends and sort of winding up the year and sort of being thankful for everything that we've achieved. And, there may be some things that you set out to do at the beginning of the year that you didn't achieve, and that's okay. Look, nobody achieves everything that they want to do, I think, in one year or one lifetime even. So we need to just be grateful and thankful that we're all still here. We're not in the middle of a pandemic. We can get together this Christmas and have, some really great quality family time and time with our friends. Here in Australia, it's really heating up. It's getting very, very, very warm. We've had a lot of rain, so the humidity is really high here today. So I've got every fan known to man going at the moment, trying to keep me cool. But I know in other parts of the world, everybody's gearing up and looking for fires and to get warm and have, hot chocolate and marshmallows and candy canes. I wish we could say that we could have that same tradition here in Australia, but it's just too hot. Yes, we have the candy canes, but we don't have the hot chocolate and the marshmallows. It's a little bit too hot. We're looking for something cold. So anyway, this week, the Simply Tarot card of the week is not necessarily one of everybody's favourites. It's the card of the Eight of Cups. Now, the Eight of Cups is the card of money problems. Now, look, at this time of the year, I think a lot of us are spending a lot more money than what we intended to. So it can be a little bit tricky in that way that, we've got to juggle our money and sort of make sure we're not overspending on our Christmas budget and things like that. The secondary meaning of this card is turning your back and walking away, knowing that nothing more can be done. Now, there's many times in our lives when we make a decision or we make a choice that we know that there's no other solution. It may not necessarily be the one we wanted to take, but it's the only one we can take under the circumstances. And we turn our back, we walk away, we start to walk up the hill, knowing that nothing more can be done in this situation. So it's a time then, if you're facing something like that and you've got a final decision to make it and turn your back, walk away and say, okay, I did my best. So I'm going to have a little brag here. The scenery on the back of this card is actually local to me. It's at Currumbin Beach, which is about 5 minutes drive from me. Beautiful part of the world I'm fortunate enough to live in. So the Eight of Cups, make sure that if you've got some money problems, just make sure that you don't overspend this Christmas and make things worse. But if you've got a big decision to make sure that you're comfortable with it, that you can turn your back, walk away and start to walk towards a new future. And that's what I like about that card, is the fact that it is talking about that we can walk away and start to work towards a new future that we've been sort of maybe working on for some time. So, sometimes things aren't always as easy as what we'd like them to be. So it's the Sagittarian time of the year. Happy birthday to all the fellow Saggies out there. Yes, it's my time of the year and I just love it. But it's also a time when I think, there's a lot of stress on people too, no matter what your star sign is, as we head towards what we call it here affectionately in Australia, the silly season, where people sort of tend to spend too much money, drink far too much, and sort of sometimes create arguments and disagreements with family members and friends that should never have taken place because they've had a little bit too much of the consumption of alcohol. So I want to say to people sort of, be a little bit careful at the moment, because we do have Mercury, the planet of communication, is sitting in Sagittarius. It is holding hands or conjunct the sun. So it's really emphasizing that Sagittarian energy, and it's retrograde until December 16. So we've still got a little bit of time to go, people. And that's when it starts to go direct. You're sort of looking at another 2 or 3 days past that before it actually really starts to really sort of get the momentum of going forward. So somewhere between the 16th and the 19th of December, we're going to start to see Mercury go direct again. So what I'm suggesting to you is that make sure that if you're having some liquid refreshments, that you keep your tongue in check. It's not the time to bring up the family laundry, or bring up a disagreement with an uncle or an aunt or a family member that you're not particularly happy with. Keep your mouth shut, keep going, and don't sort of look at sort of trying to sort of create World War III within the family. It is a time of communication. So you can bet your bottom dollar that everything that's connected to communication, whether it's your devices, your cell phone, your anything like that, emails, things like that are quite often going to be disrupted. You're going to have internet disruptions, things like that, transmission disruptions, things like that, because it's Mercury retrograde. We used to say, when we used to send a lot of snail mail, it's not the perfect time to send a parcel in the mail or send a letter or something of great importance, because quite often they'll get lost or they'll get banked up and they don't get delivered on time. The same goes if you're travelling. Make sure you get to the airport or the bus depot really, really early, so that then if there is a problem, you've got plenty of time up your sleeve for them to be able to rectify it, that you're not going to miss your flight, miss your bus, or miss the connection to get to where you need to go. So I can't stress that strongly enough. It does not matter what your star sign is. Yes, it's affecting the Sagittarians, the fire signs, Sagittarius, Aries, Leo, and the opposite side of Gemini, but it flows through to every single sign. So please be aware of Mercury retrograde. You know, if you've got something to say that you think is going to upset somebody, leave it till after then. Don't sort of get into World War III with somebody at the moment, because you can't keep your mouth shut. Really important. So we have Venus, the planet of love and affection. And I know at this time of the year, there's a lot of single people out there that are looking to sort of hopefully meet that person, that somebody special, somebody that they can spend the holidays with, just to bring somebody new into their life. So if you're looking for love, you need to sort of look at it in a very Capricorn sort of way. So what I'm saying is, in official situations, you know, big buildings, you know, the state library, not necessarily the state hotel, but, you know, the library, you know, you might meet somebody at a courthouse or a post office, or while you're doing banking or doing something like that. Now, it's a time when, you know, I'm suggesting to you to look at those sort of things, but I'd bring into that sort of like the local ice skating rink, things like that, things that are big, that are public, that are a government maybe owned or something like that, big venues. Now, because it's in Capricorn, doesn't necessarily mean we've all got to fall in love with a Capricorn. Yes, it means that the strongest energy is for Capricorns, Virgos and Tauruses, and the opposite side of Cancer. It does wash over to all the others, but all the other signs are looking for somebody that's got their feet on the ground. They're looking for that sort of Capricorn sort of energy. That's the type of person that you're going to attract at the moment. Somebody that may be not as emotional as what you like, but, you know, they seem to be very steady, they're very strong, they're very conscious about money, they might have definite opinions about world events. So there's somebody that sort of is the rock of the society, somebody that you can rely on. Now, when I said Venus is in Capricorn and it's conjunct or it's holding hands with Pluto. Now, Pluto has just gone into Aquarius, so it's sort of like, it's like we've got one really grounded sort of energy coming from Venus, but we've got Venus holding hands with Pluto. Now, Pluto's sitting in Aquarius, so Pluto in Aquarius is going to suggest to you that if you're looking for love, that you need to look for love in different places. You need to step out of your comfort zone. You need to be sort of being aware that maybe the person you're going to attract is going to sort of ruffle your feathers a little bit too, because Pluto in Aquarius is asking us to think outside the square. It's asking us to look and do things differently to what we've done in the past, that, you know, we're trying to transform things. So this doesn't matter what your star sign is. If you attract somebody new over this festive season, be aware, are they somebody that you can rely on? Are they somebody that's challenging you in some way? Is there something different about this relationship to previous relationships that you've attracted? If the answer is yes, well, that's great. If the answer is no, and you're putting your feet in the same positions as you've done previously and just replicating a previous relationship with a different person's face and name, then maybe that's not the answer. Maybe you've got to think outside that square and sort of step out of your comfort zone a little bit and look for love in different and unusual places, but it's got to have a big feel to it as well. It's not sort of the time to sort of maybe just sort of, you know, stick to local parties or something like that. Step out of your comfort zone a little bit. Now, we have the North Node, which is not a planet, but is showing us the way forward, is sitting in Aries at the moment. Now, this is really good news for all the Aries around, and I know there's lots of Aries people, as well as there's Leo, Sagittarius, and the opposite sign of Libra. It will flow through to the other 8 signs, but nowhere near as intense. And the reason I'm saying it's good for Aries, because Aries have been going through a little bit recently where they've had Chiron in their sign, and Chiron's still there till the 29th of this month. And Chiron's the wounded healer. Now, Chiron's been asking them to sort of delve deep, to sort of go into their psyche, go into their emotions, look at the things that have been troubling them, or the things that need changing, or the things that need sorting out. And I know for some Aries, they've really struggled with this. They've sort of really sort of not so much gone off the deep end, but they've really sort of explored emotions in maybe not the most positive of ways, that they're sort of given into things that, you know, past life karmic sort of troubles and tribulations, or, you know, things that might have upset them, and it's come back in with a force that they haven't been able to control it or deal with it, you know, and they've had, you know, well-meaning family and friends around them trying to help them navigate this. And the more that they've tried to do that, the more they've dug their heels in and sort of said, you know, you're not helping me, you're making things worse, or I'm not going to be told anything. And that's fair enough. We don't like to be told anything, no matter what your star sign is. But for Aries particular, with the North Node here, it's showing us that there's a way forward, that there's light at the end of the tunnel, that, you know, all your well-meaning family and friends that have tried to help you over the last 3 or 4, 6, 12 months have done it out of love. They haven't done it out of trying to control you. They've done it out of love, trying to get you on the right track. So it's a very, very positive sign. It's a very good sign for Aries, and I hope that it sort of starts to smooth the pathway for all my Aries friends and clients around the world. So Chiron's there till the end of this month, the 29th, then Chiron will move away out of Aries. So it's really an important time. So this last 3 weeks is going to be sort of like this final push for Aries to sort of get their lives sorted out and to be able to move forward again, because Aries like to be the first. They like to be the ones that set the pace for the rest of us. So we have Uranus, the planet of the unusual and unexpected, is still sitting in Taurus. It'll be there for a while, till about January 25. So it's nearing the end of what it's going to be doing there in Taurus. So it's asking us to sort of, and it's retrograde till the end of January, it's asking each sign, whether it's an earth sign or whether it's any other sign, it's asking people to think outside the square. It's asking you to look for different solutions. Don't get bogged down in the past, and this is the only way that I can do things. Uranus is like a bolt of lightning. It's coming along. It's asking you to do something different with your life. Think outside the square. Look at things in a different way. The solution is probably as easy as looking at the end of your nose, but you just haven't been able to see it because you're not sort of opening yourself up to the potential of other thought patterns or other suggestions that could come in from other people. You're sort of looking at things and saying, this is the only way things can be done. So Uranus here is asking you to think outside the square, look for different alternatives. Yes, it's mostly affecting earth signs, which is Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn, and the opposite sign of Scorpio, but it is flowing on to the remaining 8 signs. Now, we also have Neptune, which is nearing the end of being in Pisces, and Neptune is still sort of trying to create some sort of creativity there. It's asking people to sort of, particularly the water signs and particularly Pisces, it's asking them to bring out their creativity out of the closet. It's sort of like, bring it out. Let's get it on stage. Let it shine. Let it, you know, really sort of manifest in a way. So, you know, I have a lot of Pisces clients and friends that they've sort of been saying to me they've been feeling a little bit stuck creatively lately, and they'll have little bursts of it. Well, my suggestion is when you get that little burst, drop everything else and go with it if you possibly can, or take some details down so that you can move forward with it or go back and revisit it when you're not quite so busy. It's a time of great creativity. Now, finally, I want to wrap up with Jupiter. Jupiter's the planet of expansion and opportunity, is sitting in Gemini at the moment. It's going retrograde at the moment, will be for a little bit more longer. And it's really sort of affecting Geminis. I've had a lot of Geminis inbox me and saying, I don't know what's going on. I tried to start a project. I tried to get something off the ground. It went well, and then all of a sudden it fell flat. Or all of a sudden there was a great big hiccup or a delay. That's what Jupiter's trying to do. It's trying to stop you from going too fast. Jupiter is the planet of opportunity and expansion, and with it going retrograde, it's saying just slow down a tad. It's not saying completely cancel anything. It's just asking you to slow down a little bit, make sure that you've got all your ducks in a row, make sure you've got a really secure foundation underneath you, and make sure that as you start to move forward, things are starting to sort of go the way that they need to go, and you are able to move forward. And that's a good thing, because at the moment, I think we're really starting to sort of see the effects of Jupiter in Gemini, and it is slowly starting to affect not just the air signs, which is Jupiter, Libra and Aquarius, but it's also affecting the opposite sign of Sagittarius, but it's flowing on to other signs as well. I know in the last week with my work around the world that people are sort of saying to me, look, I thought I had something going and then all of a sudden it's come to a standstill. Why? What am I doing wrong? The answer is that you're not actually doing anything wrong. It may be that Jupiter is slowing things down because you are moving a little bit too fast. We need to bring it back to a sort of a point where you can sort of really make sure that you've got a solid foundation underneath it, that you're not sort of saying to yourself, okay, I want to go like the bull in the china shop, 99 mile an hour, and then come to a sudden stop. We need to slow it down so that we can make sure that we've got everything going and flowing in the way that it needs to go moving forward, because there's lots of star signs at the moment have got lots of opportunities and lots of irons in the fire, that they need to be making sure that the foundation is very, very solid underneath them, because when things start to take off, there will not be the time to sit there and sort of, go back over things and make sure that you've got the best foundation underneath you, or you've got your finances in place, or you've got this in place or that in place. So it's really, really, really important at the moment that we look at that in that sort of way, because most of us sort of tend to only do things in a way that, it's, oh, that'll do. That's right. We've finished that, but we haven't actually thoroughly gone back over it to make sure that we have certainly shored it up. So it's very, very important that we do that. So, it is a difficult time of the year, and plenty of people have lost people over this time of the year, or it's the very first time that there's going to be an empty place at the Christmas table, and people sort of don't know how to handle this. I can only speak from experience. I've had a lot of, loss in my life, as most people do when you get to my age. You can't have escaped it. And what I did with my children many, many years ago when they lost their father was that we set down traditions that honoured that person, that, we set a place at the Christmas table, we put the party hat out and the bonbon and all those sort of things, and pretended, I suppose, in a sense, like their dad was there. And that was really important because they were only very little. It gave them a sense of comfort. Not only did they write their little note to Santa and thank him for the gifts he was going to leave, but they also wrote a little note for their dad in heaven and left that next to Santa, and Santa kindly delivered that to their dad. So that's really important. So if you've lost somebody, maybe set up some traditions that you need to make particularly the younger people of the family feel comfortable. But for the older ones, it's nice to just have, a place set that collectively means everybody, and we can, raise a glass and have a glass of lemonade and a toast to them, and, tell jokes about them, tell stories about them, keep them alive. That's what Christmas is about. It's not just for the living, it's for the ones that we've lost as well. We're going to talk with Reagan here on the Gold Coast. How are you, Reagan?
Good, thank you. How are you?
I'm very well, sweetie. Nice at your part of the Gold Coast, is it, like it is at my end?
Yeah, it's a nice overcast day instead of hot and sunny and bursting your butt in the task.
Yes, I know. I'm down at Eleonora, so yes, I do know it's hot and steamy today. How can I help you, dear? Do you have a question I can answer for you?
No, it's just more general.
Okay. All right. I always ask, because quite often when people phone into the show, they've got a specific thing that they want sort of answered. The first thing that they're showing me, Reagan, is the fact that there is some endings, change and transformation coming up around you. Have you been working solidly in this last 6 months to sort of bring your life together more in a way that you're going to be comfortable with moving forward? Is that what you've been working on?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Dealing with healing.
Yeah. Well, they're showing me keep going. You're doing really well. They're showing me a series of ticks. I'm not saying all the work's been done yet, but you're well and truly on the path to that. But 2025 is going to be a year where it's not necessarily going to kick off in January for you. I think your year is going to start around March. So it's like, let's be patient. Let's sort of look at things as not being as we want them to be. It's like, let's just work with it and sort of be a little bit patient. If things don't sort of kick off as quickly as you'd like in the new year, just remember what I said. It's not really going to start for you till about March. Is there potentially you're looking for a new job?
No, but I've had a few readers say this. I absolutely love my job, but they have said
but could there be a promotion there?
Possibly.
Yeah, because they'll show it to me in the same way. To me, they were showing me that there was an opportunity here for another position. So they didn't say to me that you were
Yeah.
changing jobs. They just said to me there was another position here. And again, I'm going to say after March. And it's like I can see question marks around it. And that's why I wondered whether you're questioning on leaving the job or whether it was, something that was being offered to you in the current company. But you've really got to think about it. You don't necessarily have to say yes just because it's offered to you. Go home, think about it, tell them you
Yeah.
need 24 hours to decide whether it's what you want, because it is going to be more time consuming. I mean, look, extra money is always lovely, but we've got to look at how it impacts on our lives too. Is the extra money worth what we're giving up to get that? And that's where I think the question marks are coming in. So, they
No,
might be
I think I know
expecting extra
exactly what
hours.
that came through to you for. I think I know that what that is. I spend. Everyone's telling me I spend too much time there, and need me to go and realise what I've got at home, and I've got to start. Everyone's been saying it to me lately. Actually, it's very interesting.
Yeah, well, I still
Time
think
for
that there's going to
granted.
be another. I think there's still going to be another role offered to you too, and that's where I want you to take at least 24 hours to think about it, talk it over with your husband, or your partner, and sort of see how it fits with the family dynamic. As I said, money isn't always
Yeah.
the most important thing. Our children and our partners are very important, and money can't replace that. So I hope that's helped you. But you've got a big 25 coming up, and enjoy your summer on the Gold Coast. We're going to talk with Alicia in Brooklyn in New York. Are you there, Alicia? Hello, Alicia. Well, we'll just keep talking for a little while we wait for Alicia in Brooklyn in New York. She's having a little bit of trouble connecting today. As I said, Mercury retrograde.
Hello.
Mercury. Hello, how are you, sweetie? Do you have a question I can answer for you,
Hi.
darling?
My name is Alyssa from Brooklyn, New
Oh,
York.
Alyssa, I beg your pardon. So, do you
No
have a question
worries.
I can answer for you, Alyssa?
I guess about family.
Yeah,
I
but
don't.
which
It's
part of the
nothing
family?
specific. I'm sorry.
Okay. I like to work with a direct question because we've only got a short space of time. And when you say family, that's a very general sort of thing. If there's a particular person in the family you're worried about, just say to me, Mum, and Mum's first initial is K, and then I can tune straight into whoever.
I guess about. Hold on. Let's see. I guess we'll go with. I'm sorry. About.
All right.
I'm sorry. I was just thrown off.
Oh, well, that's all right. Do you want me to just have a general look around for you, Alyssa?
Yeah, I guess a message from my loved ones, if there's any.
Okay. All right. The first thing, again, is they're sort of sharing with me is there's a lot of change coming up around you, Alyssa. Has 2024 been a year where you've had to sort of rethink what you were hoping to achieve this year? Was there, times that you had to sort of reorganise the direction you were going?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
because they're showing with me that it wasn't so much it was a hard year, it was an unpredictable year. As you thought you were on a particular path, then all of a sudden you had to change course again. It was like, okay, I've got to pull the car up and turn it in a different direction, the car being your life. And it's like, okay, here we go again. They're showing me 2025 will not be as difficult like that. You'll be able to set your path and follow it, and that's a good thing. Also, they're sort of showing me that you spend far too much time in your head. Now, I don't mean that as a criticism. What they're sort of suggesting to me is instead of just spending so much time in your head, let's get those ideas down on paper or get them down into something solid. They don't just want the ideas coming into your head all the time and they're not being utilised in some way. They can't put more ideas in your head if you haven't emptied them. It's like a bucket of water. We can only put so much water in the bucket before it overflows. But if we empty some of the water out of the bucket, we can put fresh water in. And that's sort of what they're wanting to do. They're wanting to put fresh ideas into your mind. There's quite a choir on the other side sort of clapping and cheering you on. So they seem to be quite excited about something. They're not sharing with me what that is. So is there something about to come to fruition that you've been working on for some time?
I guess just putting my career into perspective.
Right. Okay.
Trying to get
Well,
it
they're
go
very
on with my
excited.
career.
Well, they're very excited about it if that's what it is. The loved ones on the other side are extremely excited. They're clapping and cheering that you finally got the message. And I think they mean that in a loving way. That they gently had to get you where you're going. So that's a good thing. And it's interesting because you're such a head person, but at the same time there's so much emotion there that I think it's like both things are competing. It's like your head versus your emotions, your heart. Doesn't always have to be that way. The two can blend together too. Like you don't always have to be in your head. You can add a touch of heart to things, or you don't always have to be in your heart and let your head go. There can be a balance of both is what they're showing me. So I think 2025 is going to be really interesting as your career starts to sort of come together more. It's like a much clearer direction there for you. And particularly by about March, April, May, you'll find then that you're looking back at the last 18 months and saying to yourself, yeah, I can see where I've come from and I've really come a long way and I'm really proud of myself. But you're not stopping there. You're going to continue to go on, Alyssa. So that's where we're going to leave Alyssa. It is an interesting time of the year where a lot of us start to sort of think about what's ahead for us in 2025 and do we need to make changes? What have we achieved this year? All those sort of things, as well as our Christmas traditions. And for those people that have lost somebody this year, my heart goes out to you. I know what that pain is like. But we also have to set new traditions. We also have to set, as my suggestion earlier in the show, setting some new traditions around the Christmas table is really, really important too. And it's a wonderful time of the year. I know a lot of people complain about Christmas carols. I think they're absolutely uplifting and amazing. And I think we all could do with a little bit of positivity at this time. I don't care what time they start playing Christmas carols in the store. To me, it's an amazing, uplifting energy. And, we could all do with some more positivity in our lives at the moment. There's so much doom and gloom in the world. Let's sort of lighten things up a little bit. Let's enjoy the fantasy and the love and the magic of what Christmas represents. This week, I want to leave you with a very old, traditional sort of Christmas carol, and it's with two of my favourite Australian singers. One of them is now tragically passed, but it's one of my favourite songs that they put out a Christmas album, I suppose about 4 or 5 years ago now, and it was John Farnham and Olivia Newton-John. Friends for Christmas was the name of the album. And this is one of my favourite tracks off it. I mean, they're all beautiful, but I think this is the most appropriate one for this time of the year. It's beginning to look like Christmas. So I hope you enjoy It's Beginning to Look a Lot Like Christmas with John and Olivia. And, no matter what your preference is as far as Christmas carols, there's so many beautiful Christmas carols out there. Let them, get them on your device, get the music going, get the energy changing, the positivity, and sing out loud. That's what Christmas is about, even if you haven't got a good voice. Doesn't matter. It's about getting into the magic and changing the energy. And maybe, just maybe by doing that, we might end some of these wars that are going on around the world if we all join together and sing positive Christmas carols. So until next week, enjoy John and Olivia. And it is beginning to look a lot like Christmas.